All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to work on our Argentina rural land use map activity here. So you have about 4 questions on here, so it's kind of short. One of them's multiple choice, right? And the rest are going to be, short answer. So the first question says, in what region of Argentina would you find cattle raising? Why would this be the best location for it? All right, so first let's look at what maps we got. Okay, so we got 2 maps. The first map here is a regional map, and it kind of groups it based on, what natural resources they have and what they're growing or what they're using it for as far as food and other things. So that's going to be real useful. And then the second one is more of a kind of topographical map. It's going to show you elevation. So you can see here you have a low elevation, and then it goes up to hills and then the mountains. So this really white color is kind of like lowlands. And then as you get to the gray, you get higher and higher hills up into mountains is finally the green. So you can kind of see here, you have this really light color on this side. You have looks like this first piece of gray here. So it's probably pretty hilly there. And then you have this kind of darker gray along the edges here, going into a light green and then a dark green on the ridge there. So it looks like we have flat land in this area going into hilly land, going into mountains. And then on the back side here, there is, looks like just mountains. But this is Chile, I think, anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But in Argentina, we start out with kind of these flat lands, move on into these mountainous, hilly lands, and then straight up into mountains. All right. So first question says, in what region would you find cattle raising, and why would this be the best location? So you're going to need to use this map, right? Because this map doesn't tell you anything about what's growing anywhere or anything like that. So we're going to start with this map, and we need to look over here to find where they talk about cattle raising. And let's just jump in a little bit. Let's see what they have here. All right, so the words on here are just cities, towns, and the names of kind of the regions. All right, so that's not going to be helpful as far as figuring out the rest of this stuff. So mostly what we're going to want to use is the legend over here. This explains what the different colors mean and what they use the regions for. So if we look over here for cattle, we're going to find cattle here, right, in the yellow, but it could be in other places too. So we want to make sure that we look, right? So we're not seeing any cattle here, no cattle there, no cattle there, and no cattle here. Okay, so we have cattle raising going on, right, in this area. Okay, so you can say, I would probably call it the Pampas, right? So in what region? I'd say Pampas. You're not going to need to name each of the little sections, just the region. Okay. Second part of the question is, why would it be the best location? All right. This map does not help us with that, right? This map just tells us where it is. It doesn't give us any other information that would help us determine why this would be the best region. All right. So Pampas is what we're looking at. So we're going to need to come down to this map, right? And we're going to need to look here. Okay, so this is the area that is up here, right? This little curvature, and it goes up a little bit this way. So we find the curvature down here, right? And then up a little bit this way. So it's this area. All right, so this is an elevation map, right? So what sort of elevation is this area? For the most part, it's low elevation, right? So this is going to be a flat land like grassland or scrub land. It's not mountainous. So why do you think that this would be a good location for cattle? Well, probably because cattle eat grasses and stuff, right? Mountains, while they do have grasses, a lot of times are forested. or they're barren. They usually don't have kind of a mix of those two. So I would say that this would be the best location based on the maps, because remember, you have to use the maps. Like I had some people do the India maps where they were giving me information off of Google because they didn't know how to answer the question. And I had to mark those questions wrong because they didn't use information from the maps. So when you're given this assignment, it's a map activity, you're supposed to use the maps to answer the questions. So here, I would say it's because it's in a low-lying flat area, because that's the only information you're given, from the maps. So that's what your answer should be, right? So you're going to say it's the Pampas region, and they grow cattle there because it's a low-lying region, right? It's all you got. And then the second question just asks you about fishing. Again, you're going to come up here. You're going to look for fishing. Where do they get fish? And you're going to select the area where they get fish. Why would Patagonia be more suitable for fishing than raising cattle? All right. So again, you're going to look here. Patagonia is this bottom section, right? This little tip. You're going to come back down here and you're going to look at this bottom section. Well, what's going on here? Right? What's the elevation? Is that good for raising cattle? Okay. You can also, if you zoom in a little, what do we see a lot of in this area? Right? There's a lot of water. We have a good number of rivers compared to the rest of the country. You have like quite a few rivers actually, right? And you have all this coastline. All right, so use that information to answer this question. If you were a sugarcane farmer in Argentina, what region of Argentina would your farm be located in? So again, you're going to come up here. You're going to find out where they raise sugarcane or where they grow sugarcane. Okay. You're going to write that region down, whichever one of these regions it is. The second part of the question, what city would you rather have your farm located near? Jujuy or Santiago del Estero, and why? All right, so that one you're going to have to go in, zoom in, find those cities, and then you're probably going to need to come back down to this map and compare the two. All right, where would you rather have your farm and why? Don't freak out about this question. As long as you give me something that makes sense, even if it's not technically correct, as long as it shows that you put effort and thought into it, I will probably mark that second part right. All right. This first part you got to get right because there's an obvious answer there. The second part is more of an opinion, but it needs to be an opinion based on information you get from the map. And so long as your answer does that, I will most likely mark it right. Okay. So don't worry about it too much. But that's it. Okay. So some of these questions, like the first three aren't too bad. This fourth one is kind of a doozy, but you only have 4 questions for this assignment. All right. So if you get stuck, feel free, like I said, to contact me through email or to come to one of the Google Meets.